Welcome back to OtakuDaiKun. Dai-chan here, and you're watching the Waifu Files, a series where we discover and celebrate various anime and games through their lovely ladies. Now that Spike Spiegel and Faye Valentine are in Fortnite, I figure it's time to cover the waifu from Cowboy Bebop before future generations forget where these beloved characters come from. All jokes aside, this amazing sci-fi series really does have some impressive women I want to share with you. Whether you're already familiar with the series, or are just now seeing it for the first time, I hope you enjoy. Mind you, there will be spoilers, but I don't personally think that's a huge problem. Without further ado, let's dive into some waifu. Cowboy Bebop tells the story of Spike Spiegel and his fellow interstellar bounty hunters on board their ship, the Bebop. This misfit bunch travels from one planet to the next, risking life and limb, only to barely make ends meet. It's a rough gig, yet they all use it to cope with their past lives. Spike, for one, used to be a member of the Red Dragon crime syndicate. After being injured in a gunfight, Spike collapsed outside the apartment of our first waifu, Julia. She brought him in and treated his wounds. It's clear Julia used to hold an important position in the syndicate and was a lover to Vicious, one of Spike's comrades. Despite this, Julia and Spike fell in love with each other. They yearned to quit the syndicate and find peace together, even though desertion was a killing offense. Nonetheless, she and Spike planned their elopement, arranging to meet at a certain graveyard. When Vicious learned of their affair, he threatened Julia with an ultimatum. She could either kill Spike or die with him. To avoid either event, she chose to flee, going into hiding on her own. She never had the chance to warn Spike, so even though he survived a brush with death, he was left torn between his past and a new life as a bounty hunter. For as much as he and Julia wish to meet each other again, their reunion is cut short by Vicious's ambitions. Upon taking over the syndicate as its new leader, Vicious leads a manhunt against Spike and Julia, forcing them into a fight for survival. Tragically, Julia is the first to go, gunned down by Vicious's goons. She dies in Spike's arms, agreeing to view the entire ordeal as a dream. To this day, Julia remains an elusive waifu whose life and motives only appear in brilliant fragments. Her feelings toward Spike and Vicious remain complex, right up until the end. Anastasia, or Annie, was a confidant to Mao Yenrai, one of the Red Dragon Syndicate's key members. Mao mentored both Spike and Vicious, and was saddened to learn of their falling out. Annie and her late husband were informants to Mao, aiding him under the guise of their humble convenience store on Mars. Just in case, Annie's packing heat in her office, but you wouldn't know it at first glance. Like Mao, she's under the impression that Spike died while trying to leave the syndicate, and is surprised to see him as a dead man walking. Vicious overthrows the syndicate while murdering Mao and pursuing his connections. Even so, Annie remains at her store, refusing to sell out Spike when confronted. She only survives long enough to see Spike and Julia one last time. I can only hope she finds peace. Whether it's armed violence or horrifying technology, space is a dangerous wilderness. Our next waifu, Faye Valentine, tried to live a normal life but was forced into dire straits. She was born in Singapore to her wealthy, supportive parents. Although shy, she became a high school cheerleader. Faye and her friend Sally Young recorded a time capsule on beta cassette, hoping to rewatch it 10 years later. Instead, though, at the age of 20, Faye went on a space shuttle with her parents when a horrible accident occurred. Her parents died, and she nearly joined them. However, doctors were able to recover her injured body and cryogenically freeze it until they could cure her. While it was the only way to save her, things grew worse from the Gate incident, a lunar explosion that sent debris crashing down to Earth. In the destruction, Faye's data was lost, and she wouldn't be recovered from cold sleep until 54 years after her accident. As a result, poor Faye was finally cured, waking up at the hospital with amnesia and over 300 trillion oolongs in debt. Unable to process her circumstances, she fell victim to a con man, Whitney Haggis, who pretended to be her lawyer. He was kind, and naively, Faye came to trust him as a lover. To his credit, he helped her adapt to a whole new world, where culture and technology were vastly different. Still, in one great scam, Whitney staged a pursuit from debt collectors, faking his death in the process. Taking advantage of Faye's grief, Whitney had left all his financial assets to her, which of course were even more debts. In order to survive, Faye had no choice but to change her entire persona. She had to become crafty and deceitful, trusting no one but herself. Yet, no amount of theft or scamming can offset what she owes. It doesn't help that she tends to gamble away whatever money she earns. Eventually, she gets captured by Gordon, a skeevy casino owner who offers to pay her debts in exchange for aiding an illegal business transaction. The operation nearly goes off without a hitch until Spike Spiegel accidentally takes hold of a special poker chip. In the ensuing chaos, Spike and his partner Jet capture Faye and try to claim a bounty on her head. She escapes, and the situation all burns up in flames. With no fuel, Faye winds up stranded in her ship, the Red Tail, but circumstances allow her to help Spike in his next bounty. Opportunistic as ever, she practically invites herself on as one of the Bebop's crew. Throughout the series, she works toward her own interests, but can't help developing a camaraderie with the others. It goes against her instincts, and she flees from time to time, only to wind up back on the Bebop. She gets the chance to settle the score with Whitney and her corrupt Dr. Bacchus, and even recovers that old beta cassette, finally finding clues to the past. After reuniting with Sally, who's now an old lady, she discovers her childhood home is now a vacant plot. Left with nothing, she considers Spike and Jet to be her only family. Unfortunately, this is just as Spike sets out for his final confrontation with Vicious. She reluctantly lets him go, anticipating his demise. Just as she's ready to discard her past, Spike proves unable to do the same. For as much as I pity Faye, I also adore her. She's ambitious, tough as nails, witty, and oh so sexy. In fact, she's proven to be too hot for both Hollywood and Fortnite, showing how anime is a superior art form. Gotta make her a certified favorite waifu. We never get to see beyond the final episode, but I hope she finds a way to be happy, because my god, she deserves it. Our next waifu, if we can really call her that, is Radical Edward, or Edward Wong Hao Pepelu Tversky IV. Needless to say, she's a platonic entry to this list who's still worth having her lore covered. Despite her father still being alive, Edward grew up in an orphanage. That's right, this bonehead cartographer, Mr. Appledelli, left her at a daycare center, only to completely forget she existed. His job is almost pointless, constantly mapping out Earth as it's pelted with debris. Nevertheless, he's so dedicated to his role that he mistook his own daughter for a son and completely abandoned her. Ed lived under the care of Sister Clara and her fellow orphans. Her best friend, a boy named Tomato, got her hooked on computer science. Left to her own devices, Ed quickly learned the skills needed to be a renowned hacker. Along with this, her elite skills make her the primary suspect when an orbiting satellite started carving markings onto the Earth. In truth, this satellite, MPU, made the carvings all on its own while being lonely. Conveniently, Ed became infatuated with the Bebop and its crew, reading all about their exploits. When they come down to Earth to catch the suspected hacker, Ed instead helps them download MPU's data as the true culprit, in exchange for the chance to join the Bebop. The police refuse to pay bounty for a machine, and the crew tries to ditch Ed, but she takes control of their ship until they reluctantly bring her aboard. While nothing on the Bebop is particularly kid-friendly, it's totally beneficial to have a hacker to consult when tracking criminals. Ed makes the closest bond with their data dog Ein, essentially becoming Ein's new owner. Ed helps track down Faye's old home, and along the way, reunites with the orphanage and her father. She doesn't seem to mind that he's a total space case, and by following her heart, chooses to stay with him rather than return to the Bebop. This is just in time for the show's violent grand finale. While Ed certainly is a girl, it's worth noting how gender means nothing to her. She's neither feminine nor masculine, designed to be more of an alien than a human. She can be pretty cute, though, not gonna lie. Since Bebop's all about bounty hunting, let's start talking bounties. Spike and Company tend to get news on criminals throughout the solar system via a TV show called Big Shot. It has a corny-as-hell cowboy theme and 2 hosts, Punch and Judy. Let me tell ya, Judy is something else. I've always had a thing for this girl and her provocative costume. Japan makes better cowgirl designs than the USA. On the air, Judy mainly supports Punch, commenting on his announcements, asking him questions, and sympathizing with the audience. She presents as all bubbly and cute, but when she finds out the show is cancelled, she lets loose her true colors. She just lost her job, so I don't blame her for being pissed off. It's also rumored she's engaged to her manager, which likely doesn't help the situation. Still, given the darker sides of this show, I'd say she gets off easy, and so do I, thanks to her being a certified favorite waifu. Sometimes, side characters can be just as memorable as the main cast. Apparently, Big Shot's hosts are named after a slapstick puppet show. Spike's main partner is an ex-cop named Jet Black. He used to be a by-the-books officer with a thirst for justice. During that time, he had a lover named Alisa, and while things started off great between them, Alisa decided to break it off. She wanted independence, and felt her relationship with Jet held her back. Thus, she left him for another man, Rind Salonius, and opened up a bar on Ganymede. As business dried up, though, she took out a loan to stay open. This merely postponed the inevitable, and when their loan shark threatened violence, Rind protected her, resulting in the shark's death. Charged with murder, Rind has a bounty placed on his head, one which Jet comes to claim. Alisa and Rind close down their bar to try and escape together, but fail when Alisa refuses to shoot Jet, and he takes Rind captive. Alisa wanted independence to make her own choices, and even though her choices were shit, I guess she got her wish. One of Jet's former confidants was a man named Pao, who sought to break ties with the Blue Snake crime syndicate. To protect his family, Pao went into hiding, making use of a pocket in hyperspace. This left Pao's wife and daughter Meifa on their own. However, since Pao was a believer in feng shui, he left behind clues so that he could be found again. Pao Meifa grew up to hate her father, but while authorities presumed him dead, she believed he was still alive. Following her father's clues, Meifa encounters Jet, and they both start applying feng shui teachings to track him down. Unfortunately, the syndicate also believes Pao is still alive, so they pursue Meifa, hoping she'll lead them to the truth. Their search takes them to the Sunstone, a piece of the moon salvaged from the Astral Gate accident. Combining it with Meifa's Luapon points them to Pao's pocket dimension. There, Meifa's able to reconcile with her father, pacifying her hatred of him. It's too bad they don't find him in time to save him. At least Meifa learns she was never abandoned. In the asteroid belt is a colony called Tijuana. Our next waifu, Katerina Solensan, lives there with her husband Asimov. The two of them dream of moving to Mars, but lack the money to live comfortably there. Their current situation is harsh, with Asimov working for a Tijuanan crime syndicate. Desperate to strike it rich and escape, he quits the syndicate while stealing a batch of red-eye, an illegal performance-enhancing drug with severe side effects. Asimov hopes to sell this black market product on the streets, planning to fight off any cops and bounty hunters by taking the drug himself. Katerina keeps the excess red-eye in her dress, pretending to be pregnant. While accompanying Asimov, she meets Spike and tries to throw him off their trail. In the end, she and Asimov need to evade Spike, the police, and the syndicate, making a mad dash for the Astral Gate. Their efforts are futile, running into a police blockade where they are shot to death. Before the hail of bullets tears their ship apart, Katerina decides to put Asimov out of his misery, as all that red-eye stole his sanity. In a way, Katerina and Asimov's struggle mirrors Spike's troubled past, making for an awesome pilot episode. Not all waifu are beautiful. In this next case, we've got someone who's wretched in both body and mind. Under the alias Twinkle, Maria Murdock leads an eco-terrorist group, the Space Warriors, who aim to ban the hunting of Ganymede sea rats. She and her children develop a genetic-altering virus that reverts humans back into wild apes. What makes her especially nasty is how she tests this virus on her own kids, using it to punish them for their mistakes. Well, the problem with bioterrorism is that it can come back around, and through karmic justice, a vial of the stuff breaks open in her own ship. Good riddance. Stella Bonnaro is an innocent girl suffering from Venus sickness. Some Venusians have an adverse reaction to the planet's plant spores, causing them to go blind. While Stella caught the sickness, her brother Rocco has a clean bill of health. As such, he takes care of her, living out of a wrecked shuttle in the desert. Stella's greatest desire is for Rocco to be happy. She's grown accustomed to blindness, appreciating how it can help her understand certain things better without sight. Regardless, Rocco desperately wants to cure his sister, leading him to get into dangerous situations. To make ends meet, he joins up with a gang led by Picaro Calvino, leading to him getting a bounty on his head. Ironically then, Rocco seeks Spike's help in learning martial arts. This is because Calvino's gang get their hands on some gray ash, a rare and valuable ingredient used to treat Venus sickness. Rocco gets the idea to betray his employer and steal the ash for his sister. Tragically, he dies in the process, but manages to get Stella enough gray ash for her operation. Stella hopes that Rocco can be the first person she sees, only to learn from Spike about his demise. In consolation, Spike tells her that even though she's never actually seen her brother, she knows him better than anyone else. It's so goddamn bittersweet. VT is a space trucker with the nickname Heavy Metal Queen. She travels the solar system with her cat Zeros and has earned a lot of respect in her field. Despite this, she rarely talks about her personal life, leaving her colleagues curious about her. Specifically, they want to know what VT stands for, and she takes bets to see if anyone can guess correctly. Turns out, VT's husband used to be a bounty hunter, and because it led to his death, she now hates bounty hunters in general. While frequenting her favorite restaurant and bar, Mac's Diner, she defends its waitress, Muriel, from a bunch of arguing hunters. She meets Spike during the bar brawl, and while she's reluctant to trust him, they team up to catch a criminal who's pulled a hit and run on one of her friends. On board her ship, Spike finds a picture of her late husband, giving away her true name, Victoria Terpsichore. If you're into big, strong, older women, then she's right up your alley. Io is a terraformed moon orbiting Jupiter and is home to Domino Walker, a dealer in hallucinogenic mushrooms. Domino's got a number of hunters aiming for his bounty, including this Afro-tastic waifu named Coffee. That's gotta be a nickname, right? Anyway, she's caught up in the chase for Domino, but is thwarted by the comedic antics of Ed and Ein. She gets arrested, but sneaks away to follow Domino atop a speeding train. Her pursuit meets an abrupt end when Shaft, another hunter, falls off the train into her car. It's a tough living, all right. If you haven't noticed, she's an obvious reference to the 1973 blaxploitation film Coffee. As Spike says in the Cowboy Bebop movie, I love the kind of woman that can kick my ass. That woman happens to be Elektra Ovirowa, a former soldier in the Martian army. She survived a conflict called the Titan War, during which certain soldiers were used as test subjects for nanomachine weaponry. She and her lover, Vincent Vallahu, were infected by nanomachines that would attack their nervous systems. They were also subjected to a nanomachine vaccine that, while it kept them alive, also had major side effects in select patients. It caused Vincent to hallucinate and lose his memories, making it hard to distinguish dreams from reality. The military presumed him dead, but in truth, he continues to endure an agony, deluding himself into thinking that he and everyone else in the universe are in a state of purgatory. Hoping to force open Heaven's door, he plans to unleash Titan's nanoweapons on all the people of Mars. Elektra goes on to be a lieutenant working under Cheerius Medical. When tasked with eliminating evidence of the nano-weapons, she hesitates to kill her former lover. She wants to free Vincent of his madness, but when only death can deliver him, she sets out to sabotage his attack. Luckily, her blood can be used to vaccinate the people Vincent infects. In the end, the two pull guns on each other, and even though it seemed Vincent had forgotten her, vague memories of Elektra cause him to hesitate. Before dying, he finally remembers his relationship with her. At this point, however, he's beyond redemption. Poor Elektra is left grieving as the vaccine rains down over Alba City, stopping the virus before it can spread. So there you have it, 13 waifu from the legendary anime Cowboy Bebop. Be sure to check out my Waifu Files playlist for more content, and let me know in the comments which anime or games you'd like to see in a future video. See you later, Space Cowboy.
I want to give a special shout out to all my $10 and up supporters. Video Gamer 75, Dante Pendragon, Steven Elak, Otaku Mom, Mystic Samurai 1983, Free Brick, Alexis Yukio Gomez Yamato, Lunar Works, Link Pendrago, Olympian Doll, Observer Bellis, James Hewitt, Uncanny EXP, Crow Calum, Saul Soto, Tristan Riggin, Major, Winter's Edge, Sneer Cachette, Sunbro Torian, Dionysus, Caitlin P, Sogai CH, Sith Lord 906, Vladimir Ovna, The Taz 96, Kengo X 77, and Alistair Bernadotte. Thank you all so much.